Hey, this is Francisca, and this is my mid-crisis life. Um, I've been driving a lot for my job, like a lot. So it's like 100-mile round trip to get into work, but then the area that I'm covering is really big, and I'm driving from one end to the other to the other. I must have driven at least 1,500 miles in the last like month and a half. And driving is really interesting. I'm realizing that I'm actually quite a nervous driver. I never realized this before. Um, I got my license when I was 21, and I'm really lucky that I got my license actually. I had one driving instructor, and I was like, no, dead this. No, we are not going to get along. Not when you say things like early vision, early decision. Like, no, 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 no. We can't mix. Although saying that, it's clearly stuck with me 20 years later. But then I had a second driving instructor. I bought like a intensive course, and I did everything in like a really short space of time. So we spent a lot of time together. But she was really, really cool. She used to let me drive down to like this shopping centre that was like technically a motorway. You had to go 70, but it wasn't actually a motorway. It's like an A road, so you could still drive on it. And she'd take me down there, and then we'd have lunch together, and then we'd drive back again. And she was really, really cool. She actually bought me a birthday present for my 21st. When I failed my test, she booked me another one in like immediately, like 3 or 4 days after. That was like a cancellation. And she was like, yeah, you'll do fine this time. And then I passed. And she said to me, I remember being young and having a kid and not having a lot of support around me. And driving really makes a massive difference. And you know what? I'm really grateful actually. I was thinking about it today, like how driving actually really does open up my world completely and gives me so many options and makes my life so much easier in lots of different ways. And it is a blessing. It's an absolute blessing that she afforded me the opportunity to get my driving license. And she did it because she recognized something in me, or something of herself in me. And she was just a really cool chick. So like, shout out to my driving instructor, who was so instrumental in my life that I can't remember her name. Anyway, I didn't realize, and I think also it's because I've spent nearly 4 years away from driving, whereas I was just driving constantly before. So I think like that contrast has given me more of an objective view, and also just driving so much consistently all the time. I didn't know. And I don't like to admit it either. Like, what is that about? What is it about that I want to be like, no, I ain't scared of nothing. But I am. I think I'm a really nervous driver. And I notice it when I'm driving, particularly when I'm coming up to having to do any kind of like lane changes, when I'm coming up to roundabouts, when I'm going past cars, when cars are going past me, when there's any kind of like risk outside of myself, I notice that I'm affected. And I made a video the other day, and I'll put it up here, about using that like variable cruise control, or like smart cruise control, or whatever it is, where there's like sensors on the front of the car and it brakes for you, like if the traffic slows, and how that really literally felt like a white knuckle ride on the way to work, and how I was just like, I do not think I can let anything other than myself have control. And I think that's really where it started, from me noticing like, oh, okay, I don't think I am comfortable like at all times driving. Like I think actually I'm really nervous. And the more and more that I'm driving, the more that I'm noticing certain things. So what I notice, and I think it relates a lot to a lot of like that. So I have a really bad left hip. I sound like an old pensioner. got a bad left hip and I'm gonna need surgery. I've got a really bad left hip. I honestly feel like my hips are tilted in the wrong direction, and it causes me a lot of pain all the time, and I have to work a lot to try and stretch it. And I've got really tight hip flexors, which is something I hadn't realized before, but I really, really do. Like, they're like, I don't know, there's no elasticity in them. I feel like if I don't if I don't deal with this issue, I'm gonna be like bent like this as an old person, like at the hips. I'm just gonna be bent over all the time. And that's not cool. Nobody wants that. So anyway, I'm looking at all these things happening in my body and I'm realizing, like, oh shit, actually I'm quite a nervous driver. And what I've realized, what I've noticed, is that every time there's some kind of like threat around me, I seize up all in my hips. And I don't even realize that I'm doing it until I realize that I'm doing it. And then I have to try and relax myself. I push my foot down into the front of the car to brace myself every single time something happens. And I'm like braced all the time like this in the car. And then once the external threat is gone, I relax a little bit until the next one comes. And I'm constantly like in this like fight or flight in the car. So recently I've been telling myself, okay, Fran, you're safe. You're a good driver. Yeah, there's idiots on the road, but you've not crashed yet. You've not crashed in 20 years, and everybody says that they feel very comfortable and very safe when they're in the car with you. Have a little bit more faith in yourself. But you know, these problems are not just in the mind, right? So you can't just talk yourself out of this sort of shit. So also what I've been trying to do is I've been making a decision to just breathe and to relax whenever I feel like that. Whenever I do that, I suddenly feel this well of emotions coming up, and I feel literally like I want to start breaking down and crying there and then in the car. And it made me think about a couple of things. So firstly, it made me think about sometimes when I meditate and I'm going through that process of relaxing my body down and like scanning my body. And as I'm scanning my body, I'm relaxing down. And if particularly there is some kind of like emotional pain that's in my body, I will firstly be more tense. And I would say that's definitely something to look out for. But secondly, I wonder if this is the same for anyone else. I feel like when I relax, just like, you know, when you're cold outside and they say that instead of like tensing your body when you're cold, to relax your body down, which seems like completely counterintuitive, but you relax your body down, it allows your blood to flow, which allows, you know, your body to warm up because your blood is flowing more freely through your body. And it's kind of the same. When I relax, it feels like that emotional pain starts to flow more freely through my body, which is very painful. It's very painful. I'm not warm. I'm in pain. And I wonder if other people notice themselves doing the same thing. So I know my friend used to notice herself, she'd catch herself, she'd been holding her breath for a long time and she didn't even know it until she realized, oh, I need to breathe out. And I know that other people have little ways of their body bracing itself for some kind of impact. And it makes me think about how we automatically do that in order to stop ourselves from feeling pain, and how it's a counterproductive response, like autonomic, I guess, coping mechanism for pain, and that it feels counterintuitive to let go in that moment in time. And I just wonder, well, I wonder if anybody else struggles with this thing, or if anybody else notices it, because I can bet my bottom dollar that everybody does this, but maybe is completely unaware that they're doing it. So I guess I would just task you, whoever's listening to this, to notice if there are tiny little movements or maneuvers that you can catch your body doing, and challenge yourself to see what feels counterintuitive, what feels like that's not what I should be doing right now, and try and do that, unless obviously it's something that is going to put you or anybody else in danger. But if it is something as simple as relaxing or breathing or letting go, try it and see if I mean, it sounds awful, but see if that kind of releases, and not releases in that beautiful way like, oh, it's gone now, but like releases out of its like prison that you have put it in, whatever that emotional feeling is that needs to come out. Because I think ultimately my body has learned to do that, because it is constantly bracing for some kind of impact from the outside world to hit it. It's bracing to feel pain, basically. But ironically, through doing that, it's imprisoning that pain inside my body. And causing like emotional, physical, physiological impairments, basically. So yeah, try it and see. Please don't let me be the only one that's doing this. Please don't let me be the only one that's a weirdo. Okay, something that I feel grateful for. I feel grateful that I have never crashed my car. And I guess that's a really poignant metaphor, because I guess I've also never crashed my life. That this counterproductive coping mechanism is also extremely productive in a lot of ways, and it's keeping me safe. And I guess that really speaks volumes for everything that I believe in, that these things that we learned to do in order that aren't healthy anymore, that are causing additional pain and more damage, they were originally there to keep us safe when I was a little kid and I didn't know what else to do. So my body was just like, well, I can't take any more of this, whatever the fuck this is that's going on. So I'm just gonna like, and then it won't hurt quite so much. So yeah. And out of that, I'm grateful that I haven't crashed my car all my life. So yeah. Okay. That is it.